Hello, true duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and welcome to the series that I've been calling the Mid-Week Update. But I feel like changing to New Card Report or something else a little generic. I don't have any sort of prepared imaging for that, so you might see a well-done piece of news reel kind of thing I've been throwing into my updates, or you might see the most lazily done logo I'll ever create. We'll find out when I get to editing. But in the meantime, I don't want to make an update this week that's 40 minutes long, so we're going to cover the new cards in this one. Because every 3 months or so, a new set drops. And that means I get to cover them in a big ol' video. This time it's for Photon Hypernova, the new set to be released after Darkwing Blast. First up is the lore. Yes, more Albaz-centric cards. White Zoa of Dogmatika is a level 12 ritual for Dogmatika decks to ignore, as they stay splashed as an engine in decks like Invoked, Shaddoll, or some Eldritch builds, probably. But this card can be summoned with Dogmatic Calamity, the Dogmatika ritual spell, and of note can only be ritual summoned with a Dogmatika card effect, meaning no advanced ritual art fun or fun in general. It makes all your Dogmatika monsters unaffected by the effects of Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters, and once per turn can make the opponent apply one of two effects. Either return all Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters they control to the extra deck, or send one card from their hand or extra deck to the grave for every 2 cards in their extra deck, which on turn 1 would be 7 cards going to the graveyard. Ow. That, coupled with the 4,000 attack to go alongside its sick art, means I may want to try the insane and try a pure Dogmatika deck. Crazy, I know. They also got a new continuous spell, Dogmatikatrix. Dogmatika Tricks? Tricks are for kids? What a name. You can only activate one of this card per turn, and on activation you can add a Dogmatika ritual monster or ritual spell from deck to hand. Then, if the opponent controls a monster, you can add a Dogmatika card from your deck to hand as well. That's a potential +2. Very nice. And once per turn, if you control a Dogmatika ritual monster, you can look at either extra deck and send a monster from it to the graveyard, meaning there's just even more ways to ruin the extra deck turn 1. Yeah, and that's Dogmatika. Neither seems all that good outside of pseudo-jank decks, and its playstyle seems more degenerate than it is fun. And I want to try that. Sorry goes out to my locals. Most of the duels will be a loss for me, but one game in one match, some poor opponent of mine is going to suffer. Swordsoul, Dragon of the Abyss, is a level 8 fire attribute worm with 3,000 attack, 2,900 defense, and some dope-ass dragon-looking art. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be summoned off of a worm monsters effect. It does have an effect to summon itself, that is, if a monster is banished by card effect, it can summon itself from hand or grave, but is itself banished when it leaves the field. And if special summoned, it can target a card in the opponent's field or grave, as well as one field spell to banish them. Why does it have to target a field spell? This probably has something to do with the lore that I'm missing, but I don't know. One thing I'm not missing is the fact that Chichao's effect to negate won't trigger this when it banishes for cost, since this can only summon itself when a card is banished by an effect, meaning that it's only summonable off the big level 10s, and probably not going to see play because of that. Wah wah. Bystial also got a new card, Baldrake, with a smooth 2,500 attack and the classic Bystial effect to summon itself by DD Crowing a light or dark monster from either player's grave. Its unique effect: if the opponent summons a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and or Link monsters, you contribute another light or dark attribute monster you control to target one of the summoned monsters and banish it. Pretty good, or at least I think so. It does require other monsters to truly be good, but that's true for a lot of other good cards as well. And quite frankly, if this was good enough to be played by itself, I have Pankratops Nightmares, and this would be close enough. In fact, arguably worse, because you could quick effect summon it on the opponent's turn, and it'd be bad. I'm fine with it being just okay. Ice Jade also got a new Synchro, which I guess they can make. Do Ice Jade have a tuner? I did not research that at all, and I won't. The new level 10 Synchro, needing a water tuner and one or more non-tuners, can quick effect make all face-up monsters you control unable to be destroyed or banished by the opponent's card effects. And if this is chained to an opponent's card activation or effect, you can banish all cards with that name on their field or in their graveyard. Kinda weird, but cute. And if a card is banished while this is in your grave, you can summon this. An interesting form of disruption, but with the water tuner need, it'll be a niche play at best. That, and because it's a level 10 synchro and things like Baronne and Chengying are kinda just better. Or at least they're more higher impact. I guess, unless you prioritize Anime Girl number 4612, in which case, do your thing. Great Ice Jade Manifestation is a normal spell for Ice Jade that can take an Ice Jade monster from your deck and either send it to the grave or summon it, which is pretty damn good so long as you ignore the fact that in order to use that effect, the opponent must have a monster on their field or in their grave, and you already have to control a water monster. You can't just have a Foolish Burial for the archetype. It does have a grave effect, at least, to banish itself when an Ice Jade you control leaves the field by an opponent's, except from destruction, to target and banish one card on the field the opponent controls. I don't have a whole lot to say about this card. It's probably the most Ice Jade card I've ever read. Some solid effects wrapped up in some very convoluted activation requirements that if you were to get rid of would not break the deck in any sort of capacity. Oh well, it's got the new Swordsoul and the Synchro on the art, so it's cool and it's lore. Vaylantz also got a new card, meaning the next 2 minutes of my life are about to be dedicated to reading a wall of text. God, I love pendulum cards. This new level 12 Pendulum Fusion with a scale of 12 and 3000 attack and defense needs 2 level 5 or higher Vaylantz monsters as fusion material. Its pendulum effect lets you either summon itself to your main monster zone in the same column it is already in, or move a monster you control to an adjacent column. That's good for the deck, I think, and pretty simple. Its monster effect says that it must be summoned from face down extra deck by tributing its fusion materials, and it can quick effect swap the locations of 2 monsters in your main monster zones, or 2 monsters in the opponent's main monster zones. And if another monster is moved to another zone that it's not already in, it can pop a card on the field. That's not nearly as wordy or convoluted as I thought it would be, and it seems decent. It would be funnier if this had a Snatch Steal-like effect, but as I understand it, you have to target either 2 of your monsters specifically or 2 of the opponents specifically. Oh well. It was not a 9-mile read, so I'm just going to wrap this up by saying I don't remember a single other Vaylantz effect, and with that understanding, declare this to be a solid piece of support. Moving on. In community hype, the new ship! That's right, Plunder players, the new Earth ship is here. The fabled Earth ship. I'd be more excited if I actually played this deck, but I'm told it's what they've been waiting for. Which naturally means we can now look forward to people begging for the Wind ship. Yu-Gi-Oh players, never satisfied. Plunder Patrol Ship Yord is fun to say, and a level 8 Synchro Pendulum, needing generic materials to make its generic 3k booty. Its pendulum scale is 1, and its effect lets you declare an attribute to summon a Plunder token of said attribute to each field and defense position, and then return itself to the extra deck. Sure. For its monster effect, if the opponent special summons a monster, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from deck to hand, and if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can then special a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck as well. An easy +2. We take those. And it can target a Plunder Patrol card in your grave to add it to your hand and then place itself into the Pendulum Zone, meaning it can fully get itself onto the field, into the scale, and back into the extra deck. That seems like a great fit for the deck. And based on the Reddit comments and Twitter threads I've read, people aren't complaining, so I guess that means it's good. It's also funny because the Earth ship is on land and has wheels. Deadass bikini bottom boat car type shit. I support that, and maybe I'll finally try that Plunder storyline on Master Duel, but I fear that I will actually like it and then feel compelled to buy even more cards. I have a problem. Insects and plants also get support, starting with Hexringe the Summoner Fairy, a level 3 insect tuner that can summon itself from hand for free as long as you have an insect or plant type monster in your graveyard once per turn. And that means that it is Beetrooper Support. That effect is once per turn, and its other effect means if you use it for the synchro summon of an insect or plant type monster, it can be treated as a non-tuner. Very solid. The art leaves something to be desired, however, because that's not an insect, that's a child. Oh well, it's still better than some of the Trap Tricks art, so very narrowly gets a pass. Up next is the new Synchro Tree Donut. Circle of Fairy is a level 7 plant synchro monster that lets you normal summon a plant or insect in addition to your normal summoner set, which is not a bad effect. Funny enough, the other effect is not a good one. It makes it so when a monster is destroyed in battle involving one of your plant or insect monsters, the opponent will lose life points equal to the attack the destroyed monster had on the field, and you'll gain that much. Not terrible, I suppose, but it could be better. The motto for Beetroopers. I doubt this card will see play in Beetroopers though, in all honesty, but the tuner might. All in all, it seems like a cute start to what I assume will be a series of cards slowly rolled out to us over the next couple sets. And last up is the new Ghoti or fish archetype support leaked from Italy. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest here, folks. I will cover them in this video because I'm not scared, but in the future, if I start to get notably bigger in this channel, I will not, because if I'm not mistaken, I could be banned for this, but as I've said, I'm not scared. Ixeep, Omen of the Fish, or Ghoti, is a level 4 for the deck that summons itself from hand if a fish monster becomes banished, and during the standby phase after it was banished, can target a Ghoti trap that's banished or in your grave to set it to your field. Groovy. Snipoi, Shadow of Ghoti, is a level 6 that can quick effect banish 2 fish from your hand or grave to summon itself, and if special summon, can target a monster to banish it when it leaves the field. Couldn't have been truly good, I suppose. Oh, and if it itself is banished, it can banish a fish from your grave to add itself to your hand. Cool, I guess. Self-summoning 6 with the lamest disruption ever. Still more playable than Beetrooper Wave 2 though. ZEP, Ruby of the Ghoti, is the best name yet. Gotta love ZEP. And a level 2 tuner that can banish itself in hand to banish a fish from your grave. And during the opponent's turn, while banished, it can be special summoned. Nice. Which will let you, of course, use its quick effect to synchro summon a fish synchro using monsters you control, as is the Ghoti tuner tradition. Not bad. Another tuner will always be a good thing. On to the new synchro, starting with Arionpos, or however I choose to pronounce that next time, Serpent of the Ghoti. It's a generic level 6 that, if synchro summoned, can banish a level 6 or lower fish from your deck, which is a strong start. And if it's sent to the grave while synchro summoned, it lets you target a fish in your grave to banish it and add a fish with an equal or lower level from deck to hand. Cute setup and extender type of card. I dig it. And I'd say it's got great art, but Ghoti does in general. Guoglim, Spear of Fish, if that's how you choose to pronounce it, is their new level 8, needing a fish tuner specifically in one or more non-tuners. At the start of the damage step, if it battles an opponent's monster, it can banish that opponent's monster. Not terrible. And during the opponent's standby phase, it can banish itself, and then if all materials used for its summon are in the grave, you can summon them all, but they're banished when they leave the field. Each effect is a hard once per turn, and it would be better if it banished a monster on summon instead of during the damage step, but again, it's better than Beetrooper Fusion's monsters, so I'm going to take it and run. Fish Cosmos is a trap that activates a number of effects in sequence depending on the number of banished fish you have. 1 or more means your fish can't be destroyed by battle. 4 or more means your fish monster's effects and activations can't be negated on the field. And 8 or more means you can summon a synchro fish monster from your extra deck, treated as a synchro summon. The epitome of a trap card for a fish deck. This is a very underwhelming piece of support, and that surprises no one. And lastly is Fish Fury, a continuous trap that can target a fish you control and an opponent's monster to banish them both until your next standby phase. And if a fish monster is summoned to your field while any card is banished, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard to give all fish you control 100 attack for each card currently banished until the end of the turn. Well, at least the art is cool. The Wave 2 support follows the current TCG exclusive trend of being underwhelming, but it's still playable at a casual level. So I'll take it and run. I'm saying that a lot, but it's space fish. How can you not like them? Plus they synchro, so not only do I love that, but it means you can make the MBT teaching the fish to synchro summon joke. And by make, I guess I mean take, because I kinda just stole that and said it here. That's the key to comedy, right? Haha. Oops. And so that's everything I've got for this new card report, this midweek update, whatever this video is. just covering the new cards. The regular update will of course be out on Friday as usual. Until then, I've been your host, Craig Fee, and make sure you subscribe to Yugioh Strats for this week's update, and so you too can be a true duelist.